Daiki and his friend noticed Shimizu-san sitting quietly, almost asleep. One of them called her name, but there was no reaction. Daiki wondered if he should wake her up, but his friend questioned how he could sit so casually near someone like her. Later, a teacher scolded Shimizu for not dyeing her hair back to black, calling her out sharply in front of the class. Shimizu refused, insisting she had no intention of changing it. Some students muttered that she was a delinquent, while others tried to soften the harsh words, but the rumors and fear around her persisted. Meanwhile, Daiki and his friend continued their talk. Since Shimizu was asleep, his friend said she looked far less intimidating. Their conversation shifted toward more personal topics, whether Daiki had anyone he liked. Daiki admitted that he had never been serious about love, ambition, or even dedicating himself to anything in particular. Sometimes that left him feeling lonely, especially when he compared himself to Shunya, who always seemed to take life seriously. Pressed further, Daiki finally described the type of girl he might be drawn to. Someone with long, black hair, someone who wore the uniform properly, someone simple and not too flashy. His friend found his plain taste amusing, but before the conversation could continue, Shunya suddenly remembered he was late for his club and hurried off. Elsewhere, whispers about Shimizu spread. Students gossiped nervously, saying she was blunt, scary, and best avoided. Some even told each other not to make eye contact with her. Soon after, Daiki found himself observing Shimizu again. Everything about her seemed to line up with the quiet image he had described earlier. It felt almost perfect, but he brushed it off as coincidence. When their eyes met, he froze, unsure if he had just made a mistake. Other students pitied him, whispering that Shimizu seemed upset with him. Daiki began second-guessing himself, wondering if he had done something wrong. Class was about to start. Their art teacher announced that the students would be working in pairs, and Daiki was partnered with Shimizu. He politely asked if she wanted to draw first, but she brushed it off, saying the order didn't matter. So Daiki decided to begin. When it was time to choose a model, Shimizu agreed to pose, sitting calmly. Daiki checked if she was comfortable, and she reassured him that it was fine. As the teacher gave the signal to start, Daiki focused carefully. But when Shimizu shifted slightly, he stopped suddenly, apologizing without explanation. Finally, he told her, "I'll be drawing your face now, so stay in position and look at me." Shimizu looked startled, flustered by his straightforward request. She protested weakly, but Daiki calmly added that if her face itched, she should just tell him there was no problem. Shimizu, confused and embarrassed, realized she had completely misunderstood what he meant. As Daiki began sketching, Shimizu quickly stopped him. She told him to hold off on the face for now. She wasn't ready. There was still too much to prepare. Daiki agreed, shifting his focus elsewhere while his friend whispered that maybe she had only seemed angry before. But the situation grew more awkward when Shimizu suddenly called out his name, catching him glancing at her. Flustered, Daiki insisted he had no bad intentions, but she pressed him to repeat it again. Embarrassed, Daiki blurted that he was sorry, half admitting he had lied, before swearing once more that he truly meant no harm. Shimizu forgave him, but only on one condition. From that moment on, she promised she wouldn't move, so he had to make sure to draw her properly. Daiki accepted, determined to do a good job. As the session went on, Shimizu began to wonder if she looked nervous. Her expression stiffened, and Daiki gently told her to calm down, pointing out that her face looked too stern. She tried adjusting, but nothing seemed to work, leaving her flustered. Wanting to help her relax, Daiki decided to talk. Out of nowhere, he told her that her black hair really suited her. The sudden compliment made Shimizu freeze in shock, scolding him for saying something like that without warning. Still, beneath her reaction, she admitted she thought he hadn't even noticed her hair at all. When Daiki asked why she chose black, she brushed it off, telling him to just focus on drawing. He laughed, admitting he was enjoying their conversation, which only made her pout, demanding to know what was so funny. Daiki explained that he hadn't expected to see such an expressive side of her. Shimizu pressed him again, asking if he said those kinds of things to everyone. But Daiki quickly assured her this was the first time he had ever said something like that. She encouraged him to continue drawing, reminding him that time was running short. He thanked her for posing as his model, noticing how much more at ease she seemed now. When the drawing was finished, Shimizu leaned over to look. She asked why he had drawn thin lines across her face. Daiki explained simply, it was just what he saw. Before the moment could go any further, the teacher called for the students to switch. Now it was Daiki's turn to be the model. Shimizu, flustered, asked if he wanted her to pose in any particular way. She started to turn, telling him to look at her, then instantly changed her mind, demanding he not look. Finally, in a soft, almost shy voice, she muttered that his appearance actually looked good on him. That day marked a quiet turning point. The day Shimizu dyed her hair black was the day Daiki's ordinary routine began to shift. It was the day she received a simple compliment about her dark hair, one that changed everything between them. Handmade lunches. They're the best. The boys started their conversation with excitement, praising how special handmade lunches felt compared to cafeteria food. Well, in that case, I always wake up tired. No way I can make lunch. Daiki admitted he never had the energy in the mornings, which was why he relied on cafeteria sandwiches. Daiki, you always buy sandwiches from the cafeteria. His friend pointed out the obvious, teasing him for his usual habit. What's up with you all of a sudden? Another boy wondered why the topic had suddenly come up. How would you take it if the girl you like makes you lunch? The idea was thrown on the table. How would it feel if someone special made them lunch? Or maybe some pork. One imagined having a hearty dish. I wish it were an omelet. Even better if it's something you like, right? Another wished for something simple but made with care. That would make me really happy. Daiki admitted the thought alone made him feel good. You seem really excited. His friend noticed how worked up he was. Yeah, it would be a dream. The group laughed. It really did sound like a dream come true. My sister never helps me with household chores. Sometimes I wish I could cook with someone else. I often do it on my own, not necessarily with someone I like. Daiki revealed a little more about himself, how he often cooked alone at home, wishing for company. Oh, it would be great to cook with someone you like. His friend quickly twisted the situation into something more romantic. Is there a girl in your group, Daiki? The question cut straight to the point. For now, it's just Shimizu-san. It'll be fun, though. We're going to make sautéed vegetables. Daiki replied honestly, like admitting he was paired with Shimizu for cooking class. I don't remember ever seeing her in cooking class. They were surprised. Shimizu had never shown up before. Daiki wasn't sure what to say. Well, let's do our best. The energy returned to a positive note with everyone ready to cook. Yeah, Daiki agreed. The groups will split into different roles so that everything runs well. As we already decided, we'll make sautéed vegetables. The teacher gave instructions, keeping the class organized. Shimizu-san! Shimizu-san, listen! Students called out, startled by her presence. Why did she come today? They whispered nervously. Scary. She has never come to this class before. Rumors spread instantly. Her reputation was still intimidating. We're in the same group. Let's do our best. Also, Daiki encouraged her warmly, trying to ease the tension. I will. Don't worry. Shimizu replied firmly, determined to help. That apron looks good on you, but are you sure? Huh, you alone? It's quite a task, but I always get it done. Another boy commented on her apron, but also doubted her. Who will cut the ingredients? Daiki asked as they began dividing tasks. I said I'm going to cut the ingredients too. Shimizu stepped forward, surprising him. What? He didn't expect that. I'll help you. It'll go faster if we work together. Besides, if I don't help, they'll say I didn't do anything. She explained her reasoning. She wanted to contribute, not stand idly by. Do you like to cook, Shimizu-san? Daiki asked curiously. I'm fine with it. I'll take the help. He accepted her offer, ready to share the task. Count on me. Shimizu reassured him, determined to prove perfect. Shimizu reassured him, determined to prove herself. Will it be okay? Do you really think you can? Daiki doubted her ability. Leave it to me. She answered with confidence. I don't see why I should doubt. Let's work together, Shimizu-san. Finally, Daiki decided to trust her. Shimizu-san, would you mind starting with the cabbage? Just adjust it to a more suitable size. Daiki guided her carefully. I've got this. She answered without hesitation. How about we divide it by shifts? Daiki suggested, pacing the work. Shimizu-san, could you lower the knife for a moment? Alarmed, Daiki stopped her mid-action. Sure. Huh? She was confused. That's how you hold the knife? Got it? Okay, but what are you talking about? Weren't we cutting the cabbage? He corrected her grip, noticing something off. What were you about to do? I was nervous. I always hold it like this. Shimizu admitted her mistake, embarrassed. Any doubts, feel free to ask. Daiki reassured her. Okay, exactly, but I'm okay now. Shall I go on? Shimizu tried to regain confidence. Indeed, cooking in front of people can be tricky. What's up now? What way of chopping is that? Wait, Shimizu-san! Daiki panicked again at her wild chopping style. We'll be doing sautéed vegetables today. He reminded her of their goal. I was going to cut it into small strips. She explained her method. It shouldn't be tiny. Well, it's not exactly wrong. Daiki softened his tone. Really? She asked hopefully. It almost ended up as sautéed vegetables and grated cabbage. But first, cut the cabbage in half to make it more stable. I'll show you. He gave her clearer instructions. What's the right size? Shimizu followed along. Maintain this pace while cutting. Daiki guided her hand. Okay, like this? She asked. Well done. He praised her progress. I'll chop it, Shimizu pressed forward. My part's all done. Almost done. Come on, Shimizu-san. Shimizu-san, keep your left hand like a cat's paw. Look, I was so surprised that I forgot to mention it earlier. Daiki explained patiently, showing her the right safety grip. Cat's paw? She repeated curiously. Huh? Another boy noticed. Cool. Oh, you didn't need to do it with both hands. So embarrassing. Daiki laughed, finding her attempt both amusing and awkward. You're going to kill someone. Daiki panicked, seeing how dangerously Shimizu handled the knife. So, do I cut it like this? Shimizu asked, trying to mimic his earlier instructions. Yep, that's it. Daiki quickly reassured her before things escalated. It looked like a fight was going to break out. Another boy thought to himself, watching the tense scene. What? Isn't this correct? Shimizu raised her voice defensively. Don't worry, it's all right. Daiki calmed her down with a smile. Where do I position it? She asked again, looking for clear guidance. But maybe it's better to adjust the cat's paw position a bit. Daiki thought silently, noticing her form still needed work. Let's see, he started explaining carefully. Positioning your middle and index fingers at the center of the knife. Daiki gave a step-by-step breakdown. He hesitated, realizing how awkward it was to explain. At least I figured out where I was going wrong. His thoughts admitted relief. How are we going to do that? He whispered, stuck in the middle of teaching. The ideal would be for her to try it herself. He realized letting her practice was best. Lend me your hand for a moment. Daiki reached out toward her. Shimizu-san! He called her name firmly. What are you planning to do? She asked suspiciously, pulling back a little. I thought of holding your hand to show you how it's done, Daiki admitted in his head. She probably doesn't like being touched. He worried, doubting himself. I'll show you how to position your hand. He said aloud, trying to be respectful. You can take my hand and teach me. Shimizu surprised him, giving permission. I said it's okay. She repeated firmly, showing trust. Shimizu-san. Daiki's heart raced at her unexpected reply. Apologies if I made you uneasy. He quickly apologized just in case. No problem. Shimizu brushed it off, calm as ever. We can't go back now. Shimizu whispered, determined to continue. Are you sure? Daiki asked softly. I'll take it. She held steady. Okay, he responded with confidence. Hey-ah! Shimizu let out a small yelp as she worked. This shouldn't be like this. Another student groaned nearby. Something's wrong. Panic spread around the class. All good? Not putting too much pressure? Daiki checked on her carefully. Has anyone lost anything here? The teacher shouted, scanning the noisy room. I feel like I'm causing trouble, Shimizu muttered, guilt weighing on her. I'm sorry. Daiki apologized, though it wasn't his fault. Don't worry, another student reassured them. Nothing is perfect right away. The same voice encouraged Shimizu kindly. Keep your hand like a cat's paw. Daiki repeated his advice. Place the blade where you want to make the cut. He guided her slowly. Okay, Shimizu nodded. You're nailing it. Daiki praised her progress. Hondo? He whispered her name under his breath. Yes, I was nervous at first, but Daiki's confidence grew as they cooked together. The cat's paw technique, he thought to himself proudly. I managed to learn. Daiki realized he had taught and learned at the same time. What's wrong? Shimizu asked curiously. Shimizu-san looks like a kitten. How cute. Daiki's thoughts betrayed him. He found her adorable. She had no clue. He panicked inwardly. Nothing, he replied quickly. Beyond perfect. Daiki praised her loudly instead. Uh-huh. Shimizu answered softly. Shall we cut the rest now? Daiki suggested moving on. Sure, I'll handle it, she said with confidence. So delicious. Daiki's thoughts overflowed as he ate. Thanks for the meal. Shimizu smiled brightly. At the beginning, I thought it might go wrong, Daiki admitted, but I'm glad we managed to do it, he added with relief. Enjoy your meal. He thought silently, cherishing the moment. It turned out great, right? Shimizu asked proudly. Well, she hesitated. So flavorful, Daiki exclaimed happily. What a relief. He sighed, tension finally gone. May I ask a question? Shimizu leaned in. Hondo. She spoke his name softly. So how did you feel about cooking with me? Shimizu asked directly, catching him off guard. Shimizu-san! Daiki's heart pounded at her words. How do I feel? He hesitated internally. Daiki struggled to put it into words. I must admit at first, Shimizu confessed gently, I was afraid you might get hurt. She admitted her worries. However, Daiki's thoughts softened. She stayed quiet, waiting for his answer. I'm so happy we got to cook together. Daiki finally said it out loud. It was a blast, he added warmly. It was fun because you really put in the effort. He praised her sincerity. It would be nice if we could do this together again in the next class, he hinted hopefully. Shimizu blushed, caught off guard. Well, if you want, she answered shyly, we can do it again. Her voice was firm but soft. I thought you would turn me down. Daiki admitted his doubt. What's so funny? He reacted when she chuckled. Shimizu-san. He called her again, smiling. I'm counting on you next time, he said, sealing the promise. Yeah, Shimizu agreed nervously. It can't be helped, she muttered, trying to hide her smile. Laughing again, Daiki complained, flustered. Ahaha! His thoughts laughed silently instead. One of my wishes has come true, he admitted in his heart. On such a day. She sighed deeply. It wasn't supposed to be like this. She had only wanted to prove that she could cook, to show him she was capable. But then she remembered, he said he enjoyed cooking with her. Those words could have been meant for anyone, yet she couldn't ignore how strong his hands had felt when he helped her. That thought alone left her flustered. If she could make handmade lunches, she thought, that would make her truly happy. After all, nothing beat the feeling of sharing food you'd made yourself. There had to be something she could do. Just then, her sister Ai appeared, loudly announcing her arrival to Kay. Startled, she turned. Ai teased her, asking if she'd scared her and offering to wash her back. Embarrassed, she tried to change the subject, but Ai wouldn't let go of the topic of romance. With exaggerated cheer, she claimed she could give advice about nothing but romance and insisted her little sister talk to her about it. Eventually, Ai pieced it together. Her sister wanted to impress a boy who had helped her so much by showing off her cooking. As a test, she decided on fried pork with ginger. Yes, that would be it. A lunch made with her own hands, but the first attempt didn't go as planned. She admitted she'd messed up a bit, only for Ai to laugh. Just a bit? Still, Ai cheered her on. Mistakes were only the first step, and she promised not to let her sister give up. The next day, they got to work again. She took the pork in her hands, determined to try once more. But things quickly went wrong. She was supposed to only cut the tendons, yet the pieces came out completely wrong, far too small. It didn't even look like pork for frying. I urged her to be more careful. At least there was still some meat left, so they pressed on. After frying it on low heat, she tried again. But this time, the food didn't resemble pork or ginger at all. It looked more like slime. I gently told her not to push herself too hard. Maybe they could just save the idea of lunch for another day. But her sister shook her head. No, she didn't want to give up. She wanted to learn, right now, how to prepare a lunch she could proudly give him. Hondo's words echoed in her mind. It's delicious, Shimizu-san. Just the thought of seeing his satisfied expression made her want to thank him right away. But it was unbearable that she couldn't quite reach that level yet. For her, it was all about returning the favor as soon as possible. Kay, ever noisy as a sister, reminded her that she needed to give it her best. With a fighting spirit, she pushed forward, even though her antics often made Shimizu anxious. As the vice president of the student council, I declared she'd provide the best counseling possible. And so the two of them worked hard every day for an entire week. But in the end, Ai's cheerful face began to lose its joy. Though Shimizu's effort was real, the results still fell short. She couldn't understand why. Rushing off to school without time to eat, she forced herself to take the bentos anyway. I tried to comfort her, but it only made her sadder. Still, at least the lunches had the right shape now. Shimizu sighed. It's not good to waste food, she told herself. But even if her mom had already prepared lunch, what about the burnt pieces? I reminded her. The kitchen was all about love. But Shimizu felt no matter how kind Hondo was, he wouldn't want to eat something like this. She decided to stop making lunches altogether. Later, Hondo noticed her quiet mood. She apologized for worrying him, but admitted she'd forgotten her wallet and would have to miss lunch that day. Shunya was busy with football, and Matsuoka wasn't available to help either. She tried to brush it off, but her feelings weighed heavy. Then Hondo spoke up. He placed a bento in her hands. This one's yours now. Shimizu froze. Was he really giving his lunch to her? But he reassured her his portion was separate. He was glad to share, but he worried about her too. The moment turned chaotic. She realized their bentos had been exchanged by accident. He hadn't even opened it yet, and panic surged through her. How could she take it back now? It was a complete disaster. But Hondo brushed aside her worries. It didn't matter, he said. The one he had was from her parents, so there was no problem. He reminded her that she didn't need to finish 2 bentos alone and that he only accepted hers as thanks for helping her in cooking class. With that, he opened it casually, ready to eat. Inside were the burnt pieces. Shimizu panicked. He hadn't even noticed. Hondo simply smiled and said, "Bon appetit."